And welcome to the Part-Time Nerd Podcast with me, your host, Alan. And joining me today is one Mr. Fancy Francis. How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing. How are you?
Dude, I'm just living the dream. That's what I'm doing over here, man.
Nice.
Um, except for the fact that I had to watch this movie. The movie in question is one Resident Evil Apocalypse, the second in the Resident Evil series. This one came out in 2004. It pulled a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 19% on the Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm left wondering how it scored so high. What about you?
I'm kind of wondering the same. Uh, so I do want to admit that I watched the wrong movie first. So then I had to go back, watch the right movie, which made the next review a lot more better, honestly, than I was originally planning. But anyway, so watching this, I was at least the least I could say is very confused. I feel like I don't know like too much what else to say except for very lost most of the movie.
It's I'm almost at a loss for words. Like, and here's the thing: like this movie, it had a $45 million budget, and it pulled in 129, so it did well.
Yeah.
And again, this is one of those that I remember watching, and I thought I liked it because I ended up buying it. Like this was a movie that I had owned at one point in time. When I got rid of my DVDs, this wasn't one that I had kept. But I don't know, man. It's just
I mean, again, I'm pretty sure I said this the last episode. There's a lot of potential. I mean, the action scenes were pretty cool. Like I still was just like, okay, you know what? They at least have the action. But
see,
there's
I disagree
no
with that.
really. I enjoyed the action of
I
it.
thought the action sequences, like especially like the fighting and stuff, were clunky. Like it's a lot of the moving of the camera. Like if you're someone who gets motion sickness, you
Oh
could
yeah, don't
definitely
want
get
it.
motion sickness watching this, because it flashes to her, then it flashes over there, and there's no actual like real combat going on. It's
Yeah.
punch, and then you flash over, and then you see a block, and then you flash over and you see a punch, and then oh, this one connected, and it felt very clunky to me, and I just did not like it.
Especially with the fight with the computer zombie guy. Whatever.
Nemesis.
Sure. The
Yeah.
giant. Yeah.
Well, he's the guy from the first one. Remember, he got infected at the end. They're like, let's put him in Project Nemesis.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
him. Which
Yeah.
for a second I thought I was watching Lord of the Rings because he looks like one of the giant trolls from Lord of the Rings.
Truly.
Right? Like I'm like, oh whoa, did we switch movies to Lord of the Rings? I'm okay if we did.
Gollum's cousin.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fight scene was bad. That was a pretty bad fight scene because it was so slow. Like he can't move fast either. Like, but yet somehow like he was out maneuvering her, even though he's like that.
Because again, it's part of that. The action sequences were really clunky and slow. Like having watched the first one and watching this one, you barely had any action in the first one. You had more action in this one. It just wasn't. I just don't think it was good. Maybe if this was made today, which we're getting a new Resident Evil this year or next year, I can't remember.
I think it's next year.
Yeah, but we are going to be getting a new one. I'm curious to see how that one is going to be. But I just didn't think they did a good job.
You know, thinking about what you just said of like compared to the first one, yes, I guess that's kind of what I'm comparing it to, honestly. Right. The very first one where it's pretty much just all story. Yeah. Versus this one, it's more action, less story.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, either way, it's not good by any means.
No.
But definitely more action, a little bit more comedy, a little bit silliness.
You get what, Mario Epps?
I can't remember what his name was.
I think it's Martin, but
Yeah.
LJ, he's Lord something or another, and he goes by LJ. Um, but and then you had the addition of Valentine, Jill Valentine, which she's kind of the character from the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah.
Uh, the I scratched my head at first because like she's the one who knows what's going on. Like she portrays like she knows what's going on, and she's suiting up and she's wearing the worst outfit ever for zombie fighting, tank top and a skirt with
Ye
some boots. Um,
What a decision.
yeah, when she walks in and everyone's like, "Valentine, you're here." Yep, I know what's going on. Why are you dressed like that then?
Yeah.
Like, I get you're dressed like that because that's how she's dressed in the video games. I get that, but let's make better choices. I'm
Yeah.
just
But
saying.
come on.
Yeah. This one picks right where the first one left off. Actually, before the first one left off, because with the first one, it leads off with her waking up and walking out and seeing all of Raccoon City disaster. Um, with this one, you see it just before she wakes up. You kind of see a little bit of what she goes through and stuff. Then she wakes up and walks out, and they've got the city blocked off, and they're letting people out as they're scanning them to make sure that they don't have the virus in them and things like that. And then all of a sudden, this virus gets to the front doors and they lock it all down. Um, the other thing that really bugged me was now we're snapping necks to kill the zombies. That's not how it works. Like I've seen a lot of zombie movies in my day,
Yeah.
and that's not how this works. Like
I thought that too whenever the first head snap happened. I'm like, so we know it's not dead. Did you like just confuse it because its head is on backwards? Like, what's the end goal here? You know?
because you can chop off their heads and their head is still alive.
Hmm.
Until it's the brain. It's the brain that you've got to stab. So the snapping of the necks, I don't know where that came from, but that was a head scratching moment for me.
I was
Uh,
really hoping that we would see a zombie walking with its head on backwards. You know?
which would be awesome.
I think that would be a great thing to
Yeah,
add.
yeah. But it wasn't that good. This one ends just like the first one ended. Um, Alice almost being dead, being picked up by Umbrella. Um, she's asleep and then she wakes up, and except for she doesn't walk out to the apocalypse in this one. She walks out to uh, Lord, Olivera, and Valentine pick her up. And those are the three members that she was kind of traveling with the whole time. And as she's getting away, which they let her get away, they say activate program Alice, and you can kind of see her eye flicker. And so now they have control of her. So, but it just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I questioned what younger me thought, uh, and why I was like, oh, that was a good movie, and then I bought it with my money, hard-earned money. I'm kind of mad because I could have spent that on something else, like or like had that money now versus then. Like it would just carry it over, and I'd have another $15 that I didn't have now. So
Yeah. So between this one and the first one, which one is worse to you?
the first one because nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely, and I guess we should start ranking these. I'm definitely going to have Apocalypse and then Resident Evil, because again, the first one is just nothing happens. It's just kind of like
Yeah.
I expected more, and I didn't have it. So,
Well,
what about you?
no,
The
I
same one?
agree. So far, this is number one.
Yep. Yeah, and actually, let me write that down before I forget, because I will forget.
Oh, I will too.
I mean, I won't forget when it's all said and done, but the fact that I'm actually ranking these. But yeah, it's if you want to watch it, cool. If you don't, cool. You're not missing anything. If you're a big fan of the games, you might like it because it's got some stuff, little Easter eggs, Nemesis. You got Valentine added into it, things like that. But outside of that, if you're not a fan of the video game, and you're like a horror fan, you're like, oh, here's a horror film. Just stay away. You can do
Really,
better. You can do
anything else?
right, literally, except for the first one. Don't go and watch the first one.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
If you have to watch one of the two, watch this one. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. As always, like, share, comment, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If there's anything you want us to watch, shoot over an email, parttimenerdpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.